It's another beautiful Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi, and as always, I have the lovely ladies in the building.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
We're
It's
doing
Monday. Good. We have with us guest co-host Fumi. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good to have you.
Nice to be here. I'm really happy to be on set today.
Yes, and she's actually running for office one of these days. She's a politician like many. So it's good to have a politician as an aspiring politician.
Thank you.
Aspiring politician. How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm fine. I'm very
Tell us a
fine.
bit about yourself, what you do, and all that.
Well, basically, I was in banking for 20 years. I did corporate banking, commercial banking. You know, I was basically banking, risk management. You know, so sometime in December last year, I decided, you know, it was done. Let me do something for myself. And then I started doing business. As I realized, Nigeria, we have to enter politics to solve our problems.
Right.
You know, so I am.
Running for office.
Running for office.
Good,
Yes.
nice.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you
Wish all
very
the
much.
best.
Thank
How you doing,
Thank you
Nima?
very much.
How was your weekend? Your legs hanging. Your legs are not
No,
hanging.
I'm fine. The weekend, you know, because the kind of show we do is entertainment, so you'd like to come and say, well, the weekend was nice. You know, I wish I had all the good stories. So I belong to an initiative, Shoulder for You, we do visitations to the prisons and help talk to the prisoners every month. And during the fasting month, it has to be every week. And this group of young, amazing young Nigerians use their own personal resources, and I must commend Kudro for putting this idea together. Arafa, all of them, they put their personal resources together to visit the prisons every month. Okay. And I sat yesterday in the prisons. Obviously, they didn't know who I was. And I saw how warders were bringing out soaps, bringing out food, so all the things you bring, when they say, put it here, don't worry, we'll administer. I went into the prisons and I saw the prisoners just, you know, sitting dejected. So
they didn't use it for the prisoners?
Nope, they don't have to. They didn't use it.
So the warders were giving things to?
Obviously.
Are you sure about that?
Because it would have been nicer if they put together the prisoners and we give them personally after they vetted what we brought.
Right. But that
you
could
have
be a
to leave
security
it.
breach.
Exactly. So I was
You have to leave it. And you never know how it gets administered. So what I found out yesterday was one of the prisoners was in charge of washing laundry for them.
Okay.
And you know, you do laundry for them. And I gave him more soap. I gave him soap enough for him to do business. You know, those things.
All right.
It's just depressing.
We'll see how are you doing, Mariam? How was your weekend?
My weekend was fine. I was at home really just recuperating. This thing has hit me.
Yeah.
Hit me hard. Madam, please. I'm
No,
not
just
talking
I
to
said
you.
Can't I?
Nice.
Thank
We
you.
missed it.
Beautiful.
Yes,
You're being
thank
sweet.
you.
Hairstyle.
Thank
Let me
you.
even compliment
Don't
you.
compliment me. I don't like. This girl is up to no good. Don't compliment me today. She's thinking there's something else with the illness. I'm just not feeling fine. It's malaria. It's serious, but it's going now, and I'm getting better.
Amen.
Thank you.
In a nutshell, it's not pregnancy.
It's not.
All right, cool. Because I can actually pass the anointing
No,
to you.
don't.
It's contagious.
No, don't.
Anyways, me, I went shopping this weekend.
Oh, for the baby.
No, by myself. Plenty shoes, plenty jewelry. I went shopping in my mother's closet.
Oh, I like this.
When I told my husband I went shopping, I said, my mother's closet. I just opened this and I was shopping. I came home with
Please, can you ask your mom if I can come shopping?
I mean, you see my earring. I'm like, I just picked it up for my mom. I mean, goodness.
Wow,
This
woman
is just
so
got
pretty.
stuff. The
She's
woman
a
is unbelievable.
fashionista.
She is a fashionista,
Wow.
you know. And I was like, if you're planning on going to my mom's wardrobe this weekend, this till December, I've emptied it. Don't bother.
Oh, yeah,
It's
definitely.
empty.
Our granddaughters are looking forward to growing up and just invading her
Anyways,
wardrobe.
we paint.
I hope our granddaughter looks like her more than
One of our granddaughters, we actually went to her house over the weekend. We're painting our house. So because of the smell, we had to take the kids out away. And yeah, so and happy birthday to Mr. Stoji's son, who was 10 years old on Saturday.
Wow. Happy birthday,
So
Dad.
we're supposed to be there. So his name is Ferdinand.
Ferdinand. I was shocked myself.
The different conversation, Ferdinand. Ferdinand told you he was 10 years old on Saturday, so that was cool. All right, let's go on a break. When we come back, not a very exciting things to discuss on news today, but when we come back, we'll breeze through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're going to start with the punch, as usual. Matele base attack, probe military budget now. Groups, opposition parties tell Buhari. President meets service chiefs over killings. Picture of Catholic faithfuls in a procession to mark the Feast of Christ. at Our Lady of Queen in Abuja. Gang rapes 13-year-old virgin while unconscious. And dealers beat family members over missing hemp in Ondo. Never again will Nigeria be governed by opportunity, said Oshomole. Police parade 33 IPOB members over inspector's killing. Ezekwesili takes campaign to Abuja streets. Atiku will carry out responsibilities with dignity, says his former boss, Obasanjo. Strike. FG has to hold another crucial meeting today. Visa-seeking Nigerian laments sad experiences at the U.S. Embassy. I almost quit Eagles during the NFF leadership crisis, says Roar. Right, lots of stories.
The human interest.
The 13-year-old that was raped.
So this young girl is 13, and she, after school, goes for auxiliary nurse training. So on her way, some group of boys, one of them held her hand, and she refused and, you know, objected to him holding her hand. He sprayed certain things into her face, blew certain things into her face, and she became unconscious. So they gang raped her, 4 of them, and threatened her, did all sorts of things. She woke up while they were debating whether to kill her to cover their tracks or, you know, let her go, or whether to threaten her for that, never to say anything. I'm happy that this girl is bold enough to get home. After all the threats, talk to her mother, and the mother was willing to go to the police station. Now, this happened in Ajuwon, in Ogun State, close to Lagos here, of course, and the police station closest to that place, I do not know why. I know the Ajuwon police station very well, why they will have an issue arresting, investigating, and prosecuting this matter. Because the girl can identify the 4 boys in question. She said she was raped. She brought in the evidence of her rape. She was obviously came in with all the evidence intact. Right. And the first thing to do is refer her to a primary health care center to get a rape kit. The police didn't do that. The IPO in question, her name was mentioned in Punch, but I'm not going to say it here, just so that she knows what she's doing. Begin to do the right thing, because we will follow this case up. Right. Give her a rape kit. That's supposed to be the first thing. Her mother shouldn't be begging and crying at the police station like she's doing in the story to get the boys arrested.
They're not doing a favor. They've been equipped to actually know how to handle this.
They found one of the boys and came to the police station to say he's been found. And the mother said she overheard one of the policewomen saying, I don't want to handle a case I will not make money from. This is a rape case, for God's sake.
Well, I heard there's a parent of one of the boys that's locked up right now, so
hopefully
one of the boys came to the police station, bailed himself out and walked.
But there's another person that's locked. Yes.
There was another story about the U.S. Embassy. A young boy, his family, I think his mother actually sold a lot of things. She's a widow, according to the story. There are 2 parts of the story. I thought she was a widow.
His mom, the boy had gotten admission in the U.S. and obviously went to get his visa. After paying all the dues, and you know you have to pay a lot of money for admission, another set of dollars, total of 360,000 naira was spent.
Yes.
And he approached the U.S. Embassy and he was said he was ineligible.
Yes. They asked him 4 questions, one of which was to show his father's account statement, which he did. It was after he showed the account statement, they just said, sorry, you have to reapply. Probably maybe because they feel maybe the man they have enough money to pay for the school fees or something. But he's obviously taking this up, and he feels that the money should be at least refunded, because
these people are making a lot of money.
No, but
that amount of money should be refundable.
He should have paid his school fees ahead before he went to the...
Not necessarily. You don't have to pay ahead.
Denied visa. So maybe all that he's paid ahead of that time now is gone because he hasn't been given a visa.
So he's resuming
the nation very quickly. We don't have too much time today. Oshomole Obasanjo planning to rule by proxy. Naira stable despite campaign spendings. Air Force strikes insurgents. The 23 billion bribe. EFCC clears 15 INEC officials. Let's talk about the Naira. Okay, I'll talk about Naira stable. So Oshomole was saying that former President Obasanjo should not even try to rule Nigeria by proxy. That's supporting Atiku. That's pretty much what it is. But do you see the crowd?
At the Shekarau and the Kakwansao defectors.
To receive those who defected from APC, from PDP to APC.
You will then understand why we cannot do the Gandola thing too much, because, you know, this is where the electorate numbers are highest. But in further saying what Oshomole was saying, Obasanjo also, you know, at the what's it called? crowning of
installation
of
installation,
Atiku,
yes.
as the Waziri, the 7th Waziri of Adamawa, was saying that, you know, Atiku has the dignity, will carry himself with certain dignity in office.
There was a phrase you used, I think it was in Point that carried it. You can't, you're right, the responsibility with dignity.
I still always go back to my watch. You know, you can't have a documented accusation of a person. And 360.
We are entitled to change our minds.
360. Thank God for documents. History will judge.
Moving on now to Vanguard. Fears that Southeast Governor Sean Atiku's installation. Deja vu, EFCC manipulates courts to obtain order. Why the GE withdrew from $2.7 billion rail deal, says NRC. Flights to safety. Low interest rates trigger 270% boom in commercial papers. Don't flout weather predictions, NCA warns the pilots and airline officials. And you are no match for Atiku, PDP tells Buhari. So, anybody on the story there?
NCA wants pilots about observing the safety precautions, especially now that it's the Harmattan. The rains have stopped, it's very dusty, and so it's saying that also the airports in Lagos and Abuja have what they call the ILS, which is the instrument for landing system. It helps them land during these adverse weather conditions, but all the other airports in the north and in the south do not have those, so they need to take precautions. You know,
why did Southeast governors attend Atiku's installation? Who are that?
I read it. So all the Southeast governors, leaders, starting from the Deputy Senate President to the 3 governors, were saying that, you know, they had underground issues where that he's always overlooked them or underestimated them. But in the public, they're saying no, they had scheduled, they had other scheduled engagements that they were not.
When will the actions of our leaders be because
of political reasons? When political season, this is the season for politics.
They have their issues, and it's good that they're coming out to say
it's not a public issue. It's
but the coronation itself is personal.
Right.
So they now.
All right. Daily Sun. As Buhari meets service chiefs again, Air Force bombards Boko Haram camps. This is our hot topic today, so we'll just be silent on that a bit. Gowon wants Christians against revenge attacks. Wike orders arrest of collapsed buildings owner. 15 cattle traders die in Kebbi auto crash. And police IPOB clash. Inspector General orders recovery of snatched weapons.
So IPOB.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 33 IPOB members have been arraigned and have been accused of terrorism and murder. On Friday, there was a protest march, and the police tried to stop that. And some of them attacked the police officer. He was killed, and his weapons were taken away from him. So on Sunday, the army went back into the area and arrested 33 of them. A few of them said that they do not know what happened. You know, they were just coming from church, and then they were arrested. So
was that story you wanted to take?
Yeah, let's talk about Gowon. You know, him saying that the Christians shouldn't react, so we won't come up with a religious war. You know, and it goes back to Boko Haram. Maybe I'll talk about it. You know. This Boko Haram, at some point in time, you'd have thought it was religious, but it certainly isn't anymore. So this is not about Christians reacting. It's about the whole nation getting up and...
He was there with, I think, the General Overseer of Deeper Life, Kumuyi, and I think I saw Donald Duke there, and they were having a meeting on how they would... Actually, it was a prayer session, conducting prayers for the country. And he was saying that Christians must not retaliate because that's not the Christian way. They have to just continue to pray and pray that the Lord would help us to resolve this matter. Okay, let's go on a break. I was going to take News Telegraph very quickly. Do you have
we have time now.
PDP governors, leaders work for Buhari's re-election. And NAF bombs, that's Nigerian Air Force, bombs Boko Haram's location and convoys. Banks jittery as MTN others veer into mobile banking. And who has that story?
Yeah, so MTN is, I think, next year or so.
Yeah, so I heard that story.
They got the planning to get the license called PBS, right? PSB, Payment Service Bank License. So, of course, the banks are scared. MTN has over 50 million subscribers, so it's coming with his numbers and it's coming with technical know-how.
Yes, now.
So let's see what happens.
They are banking through... The banks are doing banking through the networks already. You know, we get the USSD transfers and the service charge that they do. So I think it's a welcome.
That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we'll discuss the Metele Boko Haram attack, and later our guest, who is living the American dream, will tell us how she's doing it and what she can do to help the Nigerians living here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So recently, members of a terrorist sect, Boko Haram, allegedly stormed a military base in Metele village, Guzamala local government in Borno. According to reports, many lives of our military men were lost. Now, I would like to hear your thoughts on this because this is a really, really sad time for us as a country. Our boys are out there and their families are there hoping that they'll be back home. And it's painful to know or to feel that many of them had to die. You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. When the story broke last week, it was such a painful thing to read in the papers. But what was even more painful was that we didn't get a response from the military until about 5 days after. You know, was it though they tried to confirm, to tell us exactly what figures to be put out there? Because the figures are going from 44 to 70 to 100. Some are even saying 115. Some are saying that like about 153 are even still missing. It's a military base that obviously had lots of our boys there. What are your general views on that? And I know you had some thoughts on Boko Haram, but let me start with you.
Yeah, you know, Boko Haram, I feel that part of the problem with Boko Haram is the recruitment. They seem to find it very easy to recruit people, to recruit boys to their cause. And it's mainly because of lack of education, poverty in the land. If people had something they were doing, they wouldn't be thinking of, they wouldn't be thinking of joining a Boko Haram, for instance. It would be the last thing on your mind. You know, if you have a good job, you're working on, you have poverty, you're eating, you have good food. Boko Haram would be the last thing that you would think about doing.
Going by the fact that, if you recall, when in 2015, the issue of the Chibok girls was a major thing that was one of the strong points that brought down the Jonathan government. Now people are saying, is this strong enough because we're like, well, barely 2 months to elections and this is happening? And some are saying it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, there's a conspiracy theories going around saying, oh, this is done by politicians, planned by international community. They are just trying to pull down the... I mean, there's so many versions out there and it's getting more and more confused because it's like we're not focusing on the real issue, which is the fact that lives of our boys have been lost.
We've been down this road, and whether or not we want to accept it, there must have been a situation of lack of equipment or demotivation of our military in the camp, because according to the soldier who reported this story, they had gotten tip-off from the soldiers on guard that they were approaching. And rather than, it was almost like they didn't have anything, they just took cover. They all took cover till they were, overtaken. We've been there. I think proper investigations is what we need right now to know if these service chiefs are compromising our situation again. Because right now, what's his name? One of the service chiefs at the time under Jonathan is still facing prosecution. And rather than buy the equipment that they needed, he was amassing wealth and building houses. EFCC is still prosecuting that officer now. We don't want a situation where we use our own hands or the 2.5 billion naira meant for Boko Haram that the office of the NSA is being prosecuted for diverting. We've been down there. I would rather like to hear the president or other government officials say, we're investigating to see whether we're not going down the same road that
the papers I read today, they did mention that they are investigating. There were Air Force strikes carried out, and they were able to blow up a lot of, according to them, equipment that were stolen from our base.
And strong condemnation for if it is truly found to be so. I would like to see our military always motivated. Personally, I know a military officer who was recruited. At the time he was recruited, he resumed in Bama. That was in 2014. And he fought Boko Haram up until he died. So we lost someone. They can't continue sacrificing or putting our lives at risk like this.
Yeah, so for me, this is really painful and very sad. You know, my heart goes out to the family who have lost the boys. I mean, I'm sure there are women soldiers as well. And then also for the parents and probably wives who still have, soldiers in combat right now. You know, they're wondering and worrying what would become of these ones who are there right now. I have so many questions, Morayo. It seems like deja vu, don't you think? I mean, for me, the question is, in a situation where, like, right now our administration seems to be, this particular administration seems to be the one that has more information concerning military. You know, we have like more military experience in this particular administration.
Commander-in-Chief was his
so, you know, so I'm thinking this particular person must also have maybe like network of soldiers and military intelligence and things like that. So these are the sort of things you expect to work in this administration's favor. I do not think that the president is happy or does not care about what's happening. Even if the president himself does not care about the people, he must care about his, you know, political ambition. Yeah, so this will even affect him coming back. So this must be a problem that's affecting the president, the commanders, the service chiefs. I'm sure everybody's at a loss. So we just really need to get answers.
Good morning. Are you there? Thanks for calling. Hello? Oh, it's out. Now, the president has warned that this shouldn't be used as a political capital because obviously elections are down the road and we don't want people using this. But unfortunately, it was used during the Jonathan administration. Do you fear that this actually could be a major setback for the
over 100 lives is a major setback any way you look at it, and anybody can use it any which way. It's always, because we're always reactive, the reaction is more important right now. We don't know. I didn't expect a 5 days, 7 days reply time to lapse before they owned up to what happened. I expected that, you know, immediately it happened. There were casualties. They could have accounted for what happened if they had the numbers. And it goes about, you know, how we care for our military.
Actually, so morning, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
This is Kuya from Ikoton. I am very sorry for what happened to those military officers. It is a very saddening something. But I want to say this. The lady in blue said it was hunger that made them, or hunger, unemployment, or lack of job. Do you think if it's lack of job, many of us will have joined OPC in Lagos and go into crime? This thing has to do with animalistic character that have embedded that environment. I sat in Zamfara State. And when I got there for the first time, I was ashamed that this is part of Nigeria. Because when we see a man with 4 wives, and the only thing he do for a living is renting bicycle and has about 16 children, you will see some of them selling sugar cane. No, in their secondary school, free food, free uniform, they will not go to school. I think the leader from the north, especially the religious leader, political leader, should wake up by now. This is not the time of playing politics with lives. These are human people that are being killed day by day. They should wake up and educate their own.
Right.
Many of them are out of school. Come to Lagos here, come to Ikoton, come to everywhere. You see outside everywhere, pushing truck, push everything. When you call them for anything, we talk to them, back to Renchi. You talk to them, back to Renchi.
Right. Thank you very much, Kuya. Thank you so much. I mean, he made some valid
point. He made valid sense. He's talking a lot of truth. And you see, the elites in the north, they've kind of isolated themselves.
Yes.
And, you know, because they've abandoned this sect of people for a long time, it's going to come back and on them. It's a circle. It's going to go around.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this segment. But the truth is that our hearts go out to the families of those because nobody even knows yet. We don't know. They're not accounted for. We don't know the names. We don't have faces. So families who have loved ones, they are just waiting. And it could take months for them to have an idea if their loved ones have been gone for forever. It's such a sad story. Honest, once again, our hearts go out to the families of those. When we come, for those who love their lives, when we come back, our guests will be enlightened on how Africans can tap into investing or investments from abroad. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us is a US-based investment lawyer, Ife Ukala, whose organization, Impact Her, has trained African female business owners on how to build scalable, best-in-class businesses and to be investor-ready. Welcome with us, Ife in the building.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ife obviously is living an American dream, has a great job, and you work at JP Morgan?
Correct,
and you're an attorney.
Yes, that is
great.
correct, yeah.
Now, you can call us on 07080668014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. A lot of people have been encouraged to start businesses, entrepreneurs, especially women, and they're excited about doing this, and the people are doing so much. But when finance is always an issue, when it's time to get to the next level. So I know you have an organization, Impact Her. What do you do to help connect Nigerian business owners to scale up and get more investments to have a global impact?
That is exactly what Impact Her does, and in fact, that was why it was founded. We found that lots of Nigerian, or in fact, African women, starting businesses is never the problem. Everyone can start, but the question is, how do you survive after you start? Statistics have shown that within the first 3 years, we have a lot of failures in businesses. So Impact Her comes in. I think the numbers at about 44% fail in terms of African female entrepreneurship as a result of either not making profits, so they stop business because they stop making profit, or access to finance. That number is too high for African female entrepreneurs. So Impact Her comes in to teach women in business how to tackle operational issues, because most of the time when you look around, businesses are failing because of one problem or the other. And unfortunately, African women have not really tapped into our networks. Yes, I know we have huge networks of, associations, but who's telling each other their secrets, their business secrets to survive, right? Yeah. That is where Impact Her comes in. We come in to really teach you. We come in to teach you the know-how. After we teach you that, after we work with you, and we feel like you've gotten to a point where, an investor could take you seriously, then we make that introduction.
Okay, so the question for me then is, a lot of the Nigerian business is subsistence.
Correct.
So, and a lot of that has to do with education of the entrepreneurs themselves.
Correct.
So they're not aware of what the options are out there. So what do you tell, how do you help someone like that? First of all, I don't even understand this English, so.
No, you're right in that for Impact Her, we actually focus on SMEs, right? A lot of, if you look into at least, let's look at Nigeria, for example, you look into the ecosystem and you look into those that are really working with entrepreneurs. Everybody's talking about startups and startups and startups. Who's going to disrupt the space next.
Right.
Wonderful. But when you look at the backbone of every economy, it's the SMEs,
yes.
not startups, right? Exactly.
85% of the economy is SMEs.
It's the SMEs. Yes. So this is where Impact Her comes. So we're not we feel like the startup they have all the resources. I think everyone is trying to import Silicon Valley to Africa, right? Yes. But we differentiate ourselves because we focus on the backbone of the economy, the SME. So that woman you're talking about who maybe she didn't get a university degree, but she's working on a business, or she's doing something great. We jump in, we help her. Education is never the barrier.
Okay, good. So I wanted to understand, because when I read your email, you said make them investment ready.
Correct.
How does a person get investment ready? What exactly are the things that you must have to be ready for investment?
So to make the individual investment ready, it entails a very long list of things, right? First of all, we're looking at the team. Second of all, we're looking at the product. Do you even understand? Sometimes you go into business and you say, okay, this is my customer. But the more you dig deeper, you realize that the customer you thought was your customer is not really your customer, and another segment is really your customer. So we work through all of that for you. And you ask, what does it mean to be investment ready? Being investment ready means that we want to put you in a position that people will take your business seriously. And to also correct that, it's not just being investment ready, but accessing capital. So that could mean that maybe you just want a loan, because some women are a bit wary of, equity, giving up equity. So even if it's just a loan, or even if the favorite one, free money, which is grants, we help you with all of that. So we're not necessarily forcing an option down your throat. We work with you. You tell us, are you trying to get loan? Are you trying to get a free grant money?
Okay. Okay, let me put this in perspective for those out there, because there are lots of women doing businesses, for example, maybe makeup. And you'll be doing that. So what your company does, come into the business, you're doing makeup, study the processes, how you're doing, train you, ensure you have enough capacity to get an investor, so such that you can connect them with somebody who can invest and know what the next level is, so you can scale up. Because people wonder how Tara did it, how a Banker Mashida did it, how they did it, because at some point they were able to sustain that business and get international property investments or grants.
No, you're very correct. And for them to be able to get to that level, they had to be able to build that structure.
But that is the problem we have. I found out we have in Nigeria. A lot of people go into business, they don't have any business training, they don't know anything about accounting. You know, SMEs. I mean, the guy is starting small. He doesn't know when he's eating his profit. Right. You know, so what we used to do, I have a group of friends. We just go out and get people, give them training on things like bookkeeping, basic accounting, business management. Because if you don't have all that, even if you bring in the funding, you're going to...
It's going to go away.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that that's what Impact Hard does.
Yes.
Okay, so you just train, you give people the basic training.
We do, and more, yes. Yeah. We have intensive trainings, but we structure it around what works for women, because we're all women and we understand that you have to balance family and kids. So we, again, don't bring in the Silicon Valley model here. It is free, actually. All the trainings we've conducted, we've trained over 100 women, and they are free, and those were representing over 100
So how does Impact Hard do it? Go ahead, Mariam.
My question is why? What's in it for you?
What is in it for me?
You have a good job abroad. What's your business with our business here?
Well, I felt like I have been privileged to be born Nigerian, first of all. I learned so much from being here. I'm a product of a federal government girls' college. Went to secondary school here, of course. Was lucky enough to go to college and law school abroad. But I felt like, you know, in my past life, in all the work I did, which centered around just making investments into Africa from a legal perspective, so I would do the legal structuring, I noticed a lag for women. And I'm someone who, you know, when I find a problem, I fix it. I don't like to sit and complain. So I figured that, you know, this is home for me. Why not help? Why not become part of that, you know, changing narrative?
How do you identify the companies to help? So is there like a community of companies, or do you have to apply to a
They
group?
do apply.
Okay, they apply.
An application is free.
Oh, application is free.
Yes,
Fantastic.
correct.
Let's go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the fact that you're living the American dream. You know, people just go abroad and they just end up doing some menial job. But you are working in a big company. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So coming to living that American dream, because a lot of Nigerians live abroad and they work long hours. I mean, you're privileged to go to the University of Chicago, you graduated, got a job, you're an attorney. You're the dream of every parent who sends their kids abroad. But unfortunately, many people go there and they just they start doing other things that their parents are not so proud of. So how did you stay in lean? How did you get to that point where you have a career that's successful at this point?
Well, thank you for all that compliment. I would say, of course, being grounded and having the right support system. So for me, it's, you know, communicating with my family almost on a daily basis. Parents calling me and checking in on me, taking an interest in what I'm doing.
Properly.
Exactly. So I think that support system has been amazing, and it, you know, even if you're far away from home and you haven't been home for a year, but you can sort of figure out what your dad would say if you did X. Right. It instills the fear of God in you, and then you keep doing what you have to do.
I wanted to understand the impact in the lives of the women you've handled in the past. How has the businesses fared now? How do you assess that? Do you assess yourself and what you've done?
Yes, we do. I would give an example to explain that. For example, so Impact Her is about a year old now. With the first cohort, we continue to work with some of these women even after the program. And during that time, for example, one of the ladies we worked with, she was a jewelry maker doing amazing things. And now she's at a point, and when she came in, she was struggling to even like sustain her business revenue. She wasn't sure what direction she was going. And after the program, you know, I met her again, you know, earlier this year, and she's at this point already exporting her jewelry to Texas. Wow. So that is an example of a success story, and we have many more.
Oh, very good.
Well
yes,
done.
So do you find Nigerian women particularly entrepreneurial compared to, let's say, American women? And then what do you think?
Nigerians living abroad.
Or even Nigerians living abroad. How do you compare Nigerians here in Nigeria and the ones living abroad as entrepreneurs?
Actually, I think BBC had did a bit of studies around this or publicized that Nigerian women are one of the most entrepreneurial women in the world. I think that there's data out there. Yes. But you also have to remember that for us, at least for Nigerian women living in Nigeria, you know, community, the society you live in shapes you, right? As opposed to like if I'm abroad, you know, I can graduate, I can find a job, I can go into corporate maybe, you know, like I would work hard to do what I need to do to get that office job.
The system supports you there.
Exactly. But here, you know, if you're not able to find a job in two years, at that point you should probably start thinking of starting something. But yeah, Nigerian women are one of the most entrepreneurial women in the world.
So I want you to help women out there, obviously, because a lot of people want to send their kids abroad. You told us mentoring is key, so if you have kids abroad, it's important that you talk to them as often as possible. Yeah. What other advice could you give parents, especially those that have kids in America, to ensure that their investments
are grounded,
well-grounded, their investments are not putting, are not...
No, that's great. I would definitely say supporting your child's vision or their goals in terms of, you know, if the person is going to school and like, oh, I want to be a lawyer, and you're telling them, no, you have to be a doctor. They'll probably go to school and get that certificate for you. Yeah. And after they're done, they go back to square one, right? I think that support is quite critical. But again, you know, we're all human beings, right? So sometimes our parents would do the best they can, yet we may still, you know. Right.
Let me take this call from Wande. Wande, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Good morning. Go ahead,
Wande.
Yeah, this is a very interesting and vital guest you have. I didn't pick her name again, I'm sorry. But I want to ask a question. Why is it important that we focus on the top of the level entrepreneurs, women who are building things? How about artisanal women? How do we speak in a language that they understand? Because you mentioned earlier that SMEs are the backbone of the economy. Majority of those who are in this class of SMEs, maybe you've not considered this class, are actually artisans, people who do.
Can you hear him? Sorry. Did you guys, anybody hear him? The obviously couldn't hear him properly. Can you take a tweet?
Yes, a few tweets. Omar Labake is saying, for some women, it's not only getting the ideas, training, business and finance, more of getting the market for the products, and then family and friends to patronize and pay. There's also the issue of NAFDAC. Kenneth Ono GFA says, the difference is the ethics applied to the American dream in relation to the attitude to work down here. And Andrew in Street, I'm saying, the bottom line, is, do you have a piece of software or AI software that can make the average Nigerian woman get on board with this impact high investment ready thing? Maybe a blockchain platform?
A blockchain? I don't understand that question.
I guess he's asking, do you have an online platform for people to get in touch?
Yes, we have a website. We check our emails if they email us. It's the website is...
We'll send out the details online.
Yes.
But the point is that Impact Her is not really there to support startups, because according to her, there are lots of other people or groups that can help startups. What Impact Her does is, after they've observed that your business has been able to sustain itself for a period and it actually is profitable, then they help you to scale up, right?
And even if you're not profitable, you've plateaued. Right. So you've been 2 years in business, you don't know where to go, we come in. So yeah, we help you break out. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ife, for coming.
Thank you.
You're leaving very soon?
Yes, I will.
Have a safe flight.
Thank you so much.
Whenever you come back, stop by.
I will. Right. Thank you so much.
That's all. The next Impact Her
will do.
That's all we can take. Don't forget, the repeat show starts at 11 p.m. tonight. And also, our live audience is on Wednesday. Please come early. We'd like to have more people come on the show. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.